we have a rather not just candid, but I would say very special and very cool conversation going on today with a very special guest who you probably can already see on screen. But before we talk a little bit about him and his life and his work and his, being a youth icon, really, let me just welcome all of the members who joined us today. Thank you so much for joining us on this live. We are very excited that you were able to make it. If you're joining us on any of our social media platforms, please don't forget to download the BabyChakra app. You can speak to doctors, you can connect with experts and like minded parents to basically discover care for your family. And also, before I forget, you can also buy BabyChakra products that are completely non toxic, that are very, very safe for your baby, and made with natural ingredients. So, today is a special day because of multiple reasons. One of the reasons is that we have a very, very special guest with us. You've probably seen him in, the biggest of blockbusters. You've seen him in the most popular television shows. And he's got all of the three ingredients that Pooh has mentioned in one of her movies: good looks, and good looks. The fact that he's a powerhouse performer is obviously, that's a fact, but he's fantastic looking. He has been great in the movies, and you've probably seen him in Hip Hip Hooray. You've seen him as Sumit in Sasural Simarka. You've seen him as Nikhil in Kehta Hai Dil. You've seen him as Kotsar in Un Dino Ki Baat Hai. And most importantly, you've seen him in the Yash Raj camp. He's been a permanent fixture in the biggest blockbusters, whether it's Mohabbatein, Veer Zara, Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi. So we are very excited to actually have Bollywood actor Rushad Rana with us. Please welcome Rushad. Hi, Rushad.
Hi, Deepshikha. Thank you so much for this really, really warm and I would say exaggerated introduction. I don't think if I deserve all these words, but thank you so much. Very kind of you.
Absolutely. I think as one of the millennials, I've been a fan of your work for a long time, and so it's a great opportunity and a wonderful opportunity. In fact, I should say to be able to speak to you one on one. And I'm sure that all of the millennial parents who are joining us, everybody else who's joined us today, is excited to hear you out. So today's conversation is about being a youth icon and reinventing yourself and really becoming a phoenix in a way, and you've pretty much done that throughout your career. So I want to start a little bit with the very cliche, but I think people will be interested to know. But how did you start this journey in the industry? Did you always want to become a Bollywood actor?
No, I did not. I had different aspirations when I was studying. So, going back to my school days, my teachers always used to tell my parents that, you should make him a lawyer because he argues so well with us and he completely shuts us up. So I had that thing somewhere in my mind that I should become a lawyer. But having said that, I actively took part in a lot of extracurricular activities in school, i.e., a lot of plays and elocution competitions and things like that. And I kind of, felt a lot of joy when I was up on stage. Back then, I didn't realize what that feeling of joy was. Why was I so excited to, perform in front of these people? And for a lot of people, it's very unnerving to be, standing on a stage and performing in front of, say, a crowd of 100. But for me, it was like, I just loved that process. And I think that kind of stuck with me somewhere. And I mean, post my 12th standard, that is college for us in Mumbai, I kind of got a portfolio made thinking that, chalo, let me dabble in modeling and things like that. And modeling never really took off for me, but the whole process of going from audition to audition, facing the camera daily, kind of helped me a lot. And then after a year, I bagged my first show, which was Hip Hip Hooray. Hip Hip Hooray was an experience. It kind of changed my life in every way, kind of told me that this is where I want to be, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Also, in terms of, not every time you hear of actors saying that right from the first show, they became like hugely successful or hugely popular. And that kind of happened with us. So I just consider myself very lucky. And I think it's just been a whole thing of being at the right place in the right time kind of a thing for me. So yeah, that's how it all began. And then after Hip Hip Hooray, the whole, it just kind of work just flowed in. I did Mohabbatein along with doing Hip Hip Hooray. I did my first ever daily soap for Balaji Telefilms while doing Hip Hip Hooray. And then it just kind of kept flowing, so that's how it all began.
Absolutely. And I completely agree. I think when we saw you at Hippopure, even when I saw you first at Hippopure, I was like, okay, this is a guy I want to follow. So, that whole gang of Hippopure was, you guys became so popular and everybody was following you, and the show went on to sort of achieve greater heights, which is why you have so many fans today. And you sort of, kept on reinventing yourself. But just going back to the Hippopure era, at the time, I think it was like bursting out of a bubble and you instantly became this youth icon. Everybody was following you. Of course, at the time we didn't have social media as much as we do today, but you had a
I
huge fan.
wish we did. I really wish we did.
I agree, I agree. But how did that change your life? I mean, personally also, when you became a youth icon, so many youngsters were looking up to you and the things that you were doing. They wanted to follow what you were doing. They wanted to wear the clothes that you were wearing. So how did that change your life?
So it was very funny, Deepshika, after Hepepure released. I think in 3, 4 weeks of the episodes being on air, I suddenly became like this dude in college, and suddenly all the female attention. And there were times. So this is what I got to know when when I went for our TYBA farewell party, that it seems that whenever I would not attend classes, they would literally put up like a note outside my door saying Rushad has not come today, so please don't kind of crowd outside the classroom. And these are things which are I mean, we've seen these things happen to big Bollywood superstars and Hollywood superstars, and we've seen this kind of, we see these articles and all that, and I was like, what is it really kind of happening to me as well?
Yeah.
So it was just very, very flattering. It was very humbling at the same time. And but I don't think it changed me in any way. I mean, I don't think it even got an ounce of arrogance or anything like that. In fact, it just I think made me more humble, if I may say so, seeing the kind of love that I was getting. And by then I was so deeply immersed in work that I was it, I had suddenly become greedy to do a lot of work. It's like, you put a child in water and the child has never experienced what water is, and suddenly you see that the child is enjoying that process of being in the water.
Yeah.
So it was like that for me. So I just kind of enjoyed everything that was coming my way. Yeah, like I said, it was very unnerving at times also. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do about it. But yeah, I enjoyed that phase. We all enjoyed that phase. I remember days when we would go to college fests and there would be bouncers all around us because people would just hound us and want to come. And those days there were no selfies. So those days everyone came with their pads to take autographs. So it was
Good
just
days, good old days.
good old days. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am completely sure that, I mean, it must have changed your life, because as audience we were looking at how things were, moving for you, and you were now part of the Yash Raj camp, which is like one of the prestigious camps, and you did so many movies with the group. I mean, Mohabbat, these are like all my favorite ones, of course, and I'm sure favorite of so many people who've tuned in today as well. So how did you transition from being a television actor at the time? Of course, there was a huge like following for you. How did you make that transition? Was that easy for you?
So see, I'll tell you, Hippipure ran for almost 3 years. So I started doing Hippipure towards the end of my first year degree college,
Yeah.
and it ran right through my TYBA boards. So even while giving my TYBA boards, I was shooting for Hippipure.
Yeah.
So in a span of 2 years, a lot of things happened. Mohabbatein happened by chance. I had gone to the Yashraj office with my bestie Mehul, who's Mehul from Hippipure. Till date,
Yep.
he's like my bestie from the industry.
Oh,
And
cool.
those days, yeah, and those days we used to, just go from office to office. I used to plonk on his bike along with him and go from office to office and distribute these hard copies of pictures and, tell people that, okay, chalo, we need work kind of a thing. And I happened to go to the Yashraj office, and Nikhil Advani saw me there, and he's like, "Hey, I love your work. Why don't you audition for Mohabbatein? We are looking for a whole new young bunch in the film."
Yeah.
So I said, okay, why not? I auditioned. then I was a little disappointed because they were like, yeah, the main three boys have already been cast for, so we now need three boys to, as the to be their friends, kind of a thing. So I was like, no, yeah, I don't think I'm interested in playing a friend to. If you're casting me as one of the three boys, then I would be interested. So he was like, "Arey bhai, understand? I mean, you just, I mean, I want you to be a part of this film. I promise you that from my end, we will give you as much footage, you and Mehul, as much footage as we can give you. Just at least audition."
Yeah.
So the whole, even though we were just ancillary parts in Mohabbatein, we had to go through a round of four different auditions, four different kind of script rounds that we had to go for. And then finally I was selected, and well, rest is history. Then Mohabbatein, along with Mohabbatein, then Veer Zara followed, because Adi sir kind of was very fond of me in Mohabbatein. And when Veer Zara happened, I think he had told his office that I only want Rushad to play this part, the lawyer's part that I played in the film.
Yeah.
And then Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi followed. But before Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi, I also did a TV show for them, which very few people know of, called Kismat, which ran on Sony. It
Nice.
was a finite series. So Kismat happened with YRF, and yeah, so I mean, it was just wonderful. And like you said, my transition from TV to films was like so all of a sudden. In fact, I remember Jugal Hansraj even commenting once that he's like, "Wow, from a TV show, you're a part of one of the biggest films that is being made in the industry." Because at that time,
Yeah.
Mohabbatein was like, one of the
Massive.
most sought after combinations in the industry. And I think
Absolutely.
till date, I don't think a combination like that has been repeated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like a very, very unreal experience for me, very surreal experience for me. All of a sudden, I'm standing on a set which has Shah Rukh Khan, which has Mr. Bachchan, which has Mr. Anupam Kher and Yash Chopra ji. And I was like, wow, what is this? Like, but yeah, I mean, it was all, I mean, in hindsight, it just turned out fantastic. And I'm just very glad that it happened in my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've loved, I mean, I personally really loved your character in Veer Zara. It was such an endearing, sweet character. And I think we were all
Thank you.
emotional when we saw the movie as well. And this was at the time when most of the families would go to the theaters and watch all the Yashraj movies. So that was a special experience to experience the movie in itself. And you being a part of
Absolutely.
it, I mean, I'm sure it must have been like a fantastic experience for you too.
Fantastic experience, fantastic. And even the premiere of the film was like, this huge star-studded premiere that we've just kind of read about and seen in articles and things like that. And it was just very, very flattering, humbling. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
shaking hands with Anil Kapoor, and Yashji's wife is complimenting me for my work in the film. And I'm like, wow, what is happening? Like somebody just slapped me. Is it real? Is it for real? It was
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. And now you're back doing so much work on television. I mean, I know that you're doing Kumkum Bhagya, you've done work in Anupama and really solid, meaty roles. So, how is that the direction you want to take your career into, or do you still consider yourself to be, both? I'm also a television actor, but I'm also a Bollywood actor. You want to maintain that balance. How are you doing it?
I definitely want to maintain my balance, and I think gradually I want to move from TV to OTT for sure. Because see, these days OTT and films, there is a very thin line dividing the two.
Yeah, yeah,
So I definitely want, to be seen as a primary cast on OTT shows. I mean, Ashram 3 has worked very well for me.
yeah,
Mia, Biwi or Murder, wherein I play this ghastly, deadly drug lord, has worked a lot in my favor. Modern Love did very well on Amazon Prime.
yep,
So now I'm just hoping that the parts on OTT shows just get bigger and bigger for me. And I'm very happy doing TV. I'm extremely happy being a part of Kumkum Bhagya. I've
yeah.
always wanted to do like a full-fledged daily soap for Balaji, and that's finally happening. Well,
Oh,
Anupama has
congratulations.
been. Thank you, thank you. Well, Anupama has been like a Anupama actually in every sorts was like a comeback vehicle for me, because Deepshika, pre-pandemic, what was happening for me, I was doing a lot of work, I was doing a lot of shows,
Yeah,
but not all of them were working, not all of them people were seeing. And in that process, I think somewhere down the line, I started taking myself for granted. People started taking myself for granted. They would kind of call me for these 10-day cameos, 15-day cameos.
Yeah.
And I would be very disheartened. I was like, after doing so much work, why am I being subjected to something like this? Then obviously the pandemic happened, and in the pandemic, we were all clueless कि ये कब तक चलेगा, what is going to be the future of the industry?
Yeah.
Is the industry going to completely shut down? What if I don't get work as an actor? All those kind of things just uh, gave me sleepless nights during the pandemic. But as soon as the lockdown was, towards its end, and those scattering days were happening,
Yeah.
Anupama came my way, and I kind of just jumped at the opportunity because 4 months of not doing anything. Yeah, doing a lot of lives from home, making a lot of auditions from home, making a lot of YouTube videos from home. But ultimately, you want to be on a set and you want to shoot, right? For an actor,
Yeah.
that is what your whole thing is. So I was like, just bring it on, dude. I mean, whatever just comes my way. He was like, 5-6 दिन का काम होगा महीने में. I'm like, जो भी है, just give it to me. So post pandemic, I jumped back at work with that attitude that I want to do everything that is coming my way.
Yeah.
And Anupama has been a game changer for me in every way. I mean, the way my character was, although I was not there in every episode, although I was not there in every scene, but whatever I did in Anupama made such a huge impact that till it's been more than a year that I've shot for Anupama, but people still remember me as Aniruddh. People, I mean, there are a
Yeah.
lot of fan mails that keep coming that when are you going to come back to the show?
Yeah.
So that itself shows the kind of impact that Anupama has had on my life, and I'll eternally be grateful to that show for giving me what it has given me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree. I think a lot of families have watched the show and have loved your character, which brings me to an important question, which is, I mean, you have played varied characters. I mean, yes, you are a youth icon. There is no, it's inevitable. That's a fact.
Can I
We are.
stop you for a second? When you say youth icon, it puts a lot of pressure on my shoulders.
But you are, Rushad, you are. So let's just get that off the table right away. But I want to come back to your roles. I mean, you played roles as a dad as well. I mean, I know that a lot of dads have tuned in to watch you today because they're also all your fans.
Hello,
But
dads.
how but how do you get into the character of a father? I mean, it's a tough job to be a dad, to be a parent. And I'm sure a lot of the moms are also looking at your answer now.
So see, I'll tell you, although I don't have kids of my own, Deepshika, I've always been a very family-oriented person. I adore kids. My mom used to run a creche, and I used to, be the pet of the kids, and gel along so well with them and love their company, and they used to love my company. So I kind of love children, and I think whenever I've had to play a father, be it of a 5-year-old or I mean, be it of a 20-year-old, like I'm playing in Kumkum Bhagya today, I think
Yeah.
somewhere the paternal instinct in me kind of just comes out, and it just comes out naturally. It just comes out naturally. And even generally as a person, I'm a pretty protective person about my friends. I like to
Yeah.
take care. I like to make sure that whenever we are out or whatever, I like to make sure that my friends are well taken care of. So I have a lot of 20-year-olds who are working with me on the show now. So they all come in the kiddies category for me now. So even the girls, I'm like protective about them. And if there's a late pack up, I'll be like, okay, once you reach home, just send me a text if you reached home
Yeah.
safely or not. So things like that. So I think it just comes naturally. Being a parent is something which cannot be taught. It's either ingrained in you, or it's so I meet a lot of people who say that we are not parents because we don't have that in us. We don't have that in us to be parents. But I mean, for me, I would say, like, I've been very, very, like I said, I've been extremely fond of children, and somewhere it just comes out naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. And it shows on screen too. So that really works, right?
Well, see, whatever, if for things to work on screen, it has to be genuine from the heart. I believe that.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. I'm going to go back to the youth icon thing that we just discussed quickly because today is International Youth Day, and that's why we're having this conversation. And as you know, the theme this year is intergenerational solidarity, right? And this is something which is a little bit difficult, I would say, in Bollywood because as soon as you reach a certain age, people are like, okay, these are the roles that need to be given to you. But you've been like a phoenix almost in itself. I mean, look at your career graph as well. I mean, the kind of work that you've done, you've pretty much reinvented yourself almost every 5 years, something new, something different. So how have you ever faced this kind of an issue that this is the age and that's it, or how did you? I think my question would be, how did you reinvent yourself, really?
See, I'll tell you what, reinventing myself, I think, comes with the fact that somewhere down the line, I am a very fitness oriented person.
Mm,
I like to keep myself fit, thankfully. And that has been the case even before I became an actor.
yeah.
So I was a very, very heavy child and I was a chronic asthmatic. And
Oh,
doctors had told my parents that now nothing is working. All that can work for him is that he needs to go to the gym and lose a lot of weight. And that in turn will control his asthma. So since that time, I have been too much into fitness. I mean, I like to be fit. Although I'm a foodie, I eat everything. But at the same time, my exercise regime is something that I follow very religiously and all that. And
yeah.
whereas reinventing is concerned, I think, like you said, every 5 years I've been doing something different. It's because every
Exactly.
5 years the industry is also changing drastically. So, when we were all going through a point in daily soaps, when daily soaps had reached a kind of a plateau, when they had plateaued, then
Yeah.
this whole trend of episodics came up, wherein this Crime Patrol and Savdhan India and all these kind of different episodic shows came up, and I started doing those. So, in fact, I had taken a 3 year sabbatical from TV to focus on movies, and that didn't work out for me. So I came back to TV with these episodics, and that kind of again gave a fresh approach to my work. That gave a fresh approach for me to myself.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, the whole OTT thing has started. The whole OTT bandwagon has come up. So I would say the reinventing is happening because of the new inventions that are happening in the industry.
Yeah.
To come back to your question about does the age thing affect me? Yes, it definitely affects me. So I'll tell you how it works in ads. Today, also, I'm considered to play a father of a 2 year old, 3 year old, 5 year old. In fact, just last month, I shot for an ad as a newly married husband.
Okay.
But on TV, I'm playing a father of a 20, 21 year old guy
Yeah.
who is married. So I think whereas TV is concerned, there is still that age kind of thing which bogs you down at times.
Yeah.
But whereas I think web and OTT and ads are concerned, they still I think they take you as per what your appearance is. So I had signed. I'll tell you, I had almost signed a Dharma film last year, and it was a Shashank Khaitan film. And
Wow.
Shashank is a very old friend, and he was very glad that we would get to work together again.
Yeah.
And Shashank had to drop me from that film because I was supposed to play a chacha of the main lead guy who was a 20-year-old guy. And
Oh.
Shashank called me and he said, Rushad, I tried in the look test to age you a little. They kind of gave me those mufflers and those specs, and they said, we'll try giving you a little grace and all that. But he said, wo convincing nahi lag raha hai, so I'm sorry, but I have to drop you. And all I can say is that you need to take it as a compliment. So,
This is where the youth icon part comes.
so things like these are also happening, which kind of make me feel good about. I mean, I lost out on a Dharma film. I mean, it's not a great feeling to lose out on a Dharma film, but at the same time, like he said, I felt good about myself that okay, chalo, if not right now, maybe 10 years later, I could fit into that bracket. Right now, I still have a lot of younger roles that I can explore.
True.
So yeah, I mean, that's how it's been going here.
Absolutely. And that's a great approach as well. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about how things are changing. So you adapt and you evolve accordingly. And that's how you reinvent yourself, which is a great point, actually. And so many of our viewers today are millennial parents, young parents,
Mhm.
and they have obviously seen your shows, they're all your fans, and we've got so many messages saying, hey, yeah, we're going to tune in, we want to see Rushad, we want to hear his take. Do you have any message for all the young peeps who are following you, been following you for so many years and are now parents themselves? Any piece of advice for them, or any sort of, do that, or
Well, since they are parents and they've taken this huge responsibility upon themselves to bring up a child, I think I should be taking advice from them. But yeah, first and foremost, a big thank you to each and every one of you who has been following my work. And let me tell you, it's not a joke to be active and to be getting calls and at times struggling for dates. Not having the dates to give multiple people at the same time after 24 years of being in the industry. I just feel it's a blessing. I just feel that I've been very blessed to work with the right people, to pick up the right projects. I mean, with the divine intervention, have the guidance to pick up the right things at the right time.
yeah,
And of course, I mean, my parents are my role models. So the only advice that I would like to give the young millennials is that um, I think somewhere down the line, you guys should just think about it like that. That 20 years from now, when your child grows up, you should be their role model. And I know
yeah,
it is very difficult in today's time and age, Deepshika, because we are leading extremely fast-paced lives where we don't have time for each other, when we don't have time for ourselves.
yeah.
And to top it all, we are bringing up a child, so it's highly challenging. But I guess if you've taken off the up the responsibility, you might as well do a good job at it.
Absolutely. That is great advice. And I'm sure everybody who's going to resonate with that. We do have a few minutes left, and couple of people actually sent some questions. Some of them very interested in what you're doing next, and where all are we going to see you in the next couple of months. So would you like to share that with our viewers today?
So I'll tell you, I don't have anything new besides Kumkum Bhagya that I'm shooting for right now. Well, there are talks to do a very interesting film. There is an audition that I have given for a Hotstar show. Fingers crossed that it works out. But in the last 2 months, I had a lot of releases back to back. So Ashram 3 released in June. Mia Bibi or Murder released on 1st of July. So people, whoever who haven't seen Mia Bibi or Murder, please watch it on MX Player. It's, I think, one of the most different role that I have played ever in my career. And For those of you who have missed out on Modern Love on Amazon Prime, please go and check that.
Fantastic show.
I played my first blind character in a film called Juda Hoke Bhi, which was out in theaters in June, but now I think it's going to be coming out on OTT very soon.
Okay.
So you could watch that. And yeah, hopefully, I think by the end of August, I'll have a couple of new projects to start working on.
That is fantastic. I'm sure everybody who's asked this question is going to be, and there were quite a few people who did that. And some people have also wished you a very happy Navroz, which is on August 16, I believe.
Oh, yes. How sweet. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we'll be celebrating Independence Day on the 15th and Navroz on the 16th. And
Yes.
I've had a wonderful time chatting with you, Rushad. Thank you so much for sharing so many wonderful things with us, all of your insights about Bollywood, and your advice for the millennial parents also. I hope you had a good time as well.
I had a wonderful time, Deekshika. Thank you. Thank you so much.
But before I let you go, I know that you have a special discount gift for our Baby Chakra viewers, our Baby Chakra readers and customers. Do you want to share the discount code with all of our viewers right now?
Yes. I'll just have to read it once. I don't
So
remember it.
it's
Sorry.
all right. It's perfectly all right, guys. All of you who've just joined us on our app, in the meantime, let me just quickly tell you, you can also follow us on all of our social media accounts. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Don't forget to download the Baby Chakra app, where you can, as I mentioned earlier, you can interact with experts. You can also interact with like-minded parents, and you can buy baby products that are completely non-toxic, absolutely safe, without phenoxyethanol, which is quite prevalent in a lot of the baby products, and it's very, very harmful for the babies. So please make sure to download the Baby Chakra app. And yes, over to you, Rishad, please.
Yes. So the 35% discount that everyone is going to get on the Baby Chakra app, the code is RUSH35. That is RUSH, Rush. Well, you can call it Rush as well, but since it's my name, it's RUSH 35. So just put that in, put that code, and get your 35% discount voucher today itself.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rushad. It was really wonderful to speak to you. And as I mentioned earlier to you, I'm also a huge fan of your work. And we really look forward to seeing you in a lot more, television shows, in movies, hopefully. And all the best to you for your career. And thank you so much for giving us your time. We really, really appreciate it. On a
Thank you
Friday
so much
afternoon.
too, and thanks to all the viewers. And here, there's one more person joining me on the chat. She's just
Oh,
come.
that is so cute. What's her name?
Her name is as literal as it could get. It's Kalu.
Oh, good job. That is a good job. Super creative. Thank you so much, Rushad. We really appreciate, and we hope that we can get you back again to have further conversations on some other days. But thank you again, and wish you all the very best. Thank you to everybody who's joined us on our live today. It was really wonderful, and we hope that you have a wonderful long weekend. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining in. Thanks a lot, Deepshika. Take care.
Thanks, Rushad. Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye.